Welcome back to Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia. Last time we covered Cypher Legends 1. This time, of course, we'll be going through the Cypher Legends 2 DLC. Just scroll on down, and certainly don't know what those dummies are. Don't need to worry about those. Totally legit, everything's fine. Alright, so, who are the nerds we'll be meeting today?
I don't think they've been this way either. Just how far could they have gone? 161.
Ah, combat nerd, I see.
162. This isn't like Emma. I know she can be a scatterbrain, but she's never
just as a
gotten
note,
this
I forget if I mentioned this last
She'll
time,
be
but
fine so long as Randall's with her.
while
But it's
the
still been
characters were
days.
paired off in this
I'm
way
starting to
for the
get really
DLC,
worried.
Shade and Emma are sort of the paired
167.
characters typically,
I think
and
she's getting enough to eat.
Yuzu and Randall
Does she
are,
know to
I
boil
guess,
the
are
water
kind of the
here before
leftovers.
drinking it? 170. 171. There are just so many things that... 173. 174.
Are we gonna find out what exercises she's doing, or is she just counting?
177. Would you please stop that? Huh? What's
Shade's
gotten
got a
into you,
very good
Shade?
intro.
Why do you bellow at me so?
Probably my
If you were
favorite
listening
voice of the four.
instead of doing practice swings, you'd know.
I wonder why.
Ah, I see. Pray forgive me.
So
I
anyway,
cannot
yeah,
afford to
no,
neglect my
Yuzu's
training,
just doing
but I'll endeavor to listen
shadow
more
stabbing,
closely.
shadow
Just
swinging.
keep an eye out for the others. You do care about them, right?
Aye, of course. Yet you must admit, what happened was rather droll. Why was Emma picking oranges from that tree in the first place? She elsewise never would have stumbled upon that beehive, nor panicked and fell from the tree onto poor Sir Randall below.
And the horse wouldn't
Which
have run
means
off to the
she
other
would
side of the
have spooked his
continent.
horse and caused all three to bolt. There's a moral here. Orange is something lost forever.
They'll definitely
This is
write
not
that
funny.
one down.
Orange is something lost forever is the name of my new prog rock album.
Every journey has its bumps and rough patches. This is but one of those. Now do stop making yourself sick with worry.
But we can't continue traveling without them.
Sure you
Our
can.
funds are nearly gone, and our food
Look,
is utterly exhausted.
We chopped off like half of the
Tangled from
Cypher-specific
sleeping on the ground,
cast.
and-
The others will survive.
Just make it stop already!
Oh dear. Here we go. Cease your wailing. If you desire food, I have some to spare.
What is this? A dumpling?
Oh, far worse.
A ration ball. My family produces them in great numbers during times of war.
I don't know why, but like ration ball just feels like a really intimidating version of an MRE.
Gimme! This is... Yuzu, this is... It's indescribably horrid.
Yeah, that's MRE.
Possibly suggest that
Yeah,
anyone
so
attempting
ration
this-
ball, from what I can understand, is just
The taste may
what
be
it
a
sounds
touch
like. You
acquired,
cram all the food
but my
together.
kin finds them most palatable.
Because that's just what you have to do
You are
sometimes.
not making me feel any better.
It is the
Just
cheapest
go back to
food
swinging.
that
Leave me
satisfied
alone.
the minimum
know I
nutritional
feel like
requirements
I'm
for an army.
Yet the ration ball will give her strength. I've no doubt she'll be back for more. As
This
for
is a
me,
Soylent family
I want my
tradition.
enemies to
It's
lay
very
low.
important.
178. 179. 180.
Alright, well, I guess she'll just be swinging for a while. Oh, good lord, how long have you been going?
4,998. 4,998.
Yuzu, how are you not bored? Yuzu, how is this not your whole day?
Aye. Now there's a sweat well earned. But enough training for today.
I feel like I'm a lot more quiet during these scenes because I've never seen
Even
this
her
DLC
soul sputtered
before.
out after this
So I'm
long
just
time.
taking in the scene.
Perhaps I'll go look for Yuzu. Oh, there you are. Where have you been? Shade, is Artemis? Yuzu. Yuzu.
I hear you've been pirating Nintendo Switch games, Yuzu. Nintendo doesn't like that.
I'm going to send you back to Devil Survivor, Yuzu.
You're gonna get C indeed. I'll figure out how to do this. Alright, so we've got a graveyard map with a whole lot of tough guys. Oh boy, don't like the looks of some of you. And unfortunately, our new pal Shade is also a red unit. That's not great. So she can conjure, she heals, and yeah, no, she doesn't give a fuck about terrain. Yuzu, thankfully, is unharmed, and she also has a sword with 20 crit.
Jesus.
So yeah, if she weren't a green unit for this map, she would just be tearing everything apart? Yeah, everything. Sounds about right. So, you might notice that I don't have some of my DLC weapons equipped, like Claire just has a Blessed Lance right there. The reason being is, this is actually my second take of this. The first take was ruined because a fucking Windows announcement popped up. So that was fun. So I just said, fuck that. And closed the perfectly legitimate means I have of playing this. Turns out that fucked a lot of stuff up. And it fucked up the DLC, so I couldn't, like, actively access the DLC chapters. Because it has trouble accessing the card. More on that in a sec. Yuzu's gotta ask for help, but... Yuzu, what about my problems?
My companions and I have been traveling.
Yuzu, what about my problems with technology, though?
I like the way Yuzu speaks. This translation in general has a good grasp on speaking styles.
Mm-hmm.
Die, die, die. I will kill all of you.
Yeah, she summons witches, by the way.
Jesus.
Has possessed her. Yet if we assault Shade, we might convince the fell spirit to let her be. I would do the deed myself, but I lack restraint and might.
Have you seen my crit rate? I would murder the hell out of her.
I was about to say, my sword adds 20 crit, you may have noticed.
Will you do it?
Alright, like last time, I'm not gonna choose the no option, sorry. Look, you've got like a year left to buy the DLC yourself if you want to see it so badly.
Well, by the time this goes up, you'll no longer be able to add funds to the eShop, right?
Oh, is that? Oh god, that's happened already, huh? Well, that sucks.
Well, I think it's happening towards the end of April, but we're recording this at the beginning of April.
Yeah, So yeah, anyway, end of that story though, yeah, so DLC is fucked up. I can still basically... The solution is remove the DLC so I can access it again, but like have the actual DLC specific stuff like copied over from my perfectly legitimate means called Citra of playing this. And just have that file separate, and then when I actually complete this, then I can move the files back so I just have everything again. I don't know if I'll be able to overclass my DLC characters when the time comes, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess. Anyway, though, yes, this chapter, actually pretty tricky. I did beat it the first time, but again, Windows notifications screwed that up, so I never have them make sound alerts. I just turned that off on that day, and I've never put them back up because fuck you.
Ruined my take.
I will swear a bloody vengeance on you, Microsoft. You will know no peace for the rest of your days, corporation. Also, Jesus Christ, okay, worst thing to happen, witches getting on gravestones. The Tumblr witches are immortal when they get onto the gravestones, because now they have stupidly high evasion, and they're also fairly resistant. So, hey, here's a list of characters who can effectively attack them. There you go, that's the list.
Alright, Python, if anyone comes, you get them.
So I guess pro tip, do get on gravestones first so that nobody else can take them, if you can. So anyway, with my harrowing story of technological troubles out of the way, one thing I did not mention last time was the voice actors for these new characters, so I'm just lumping them all into this episode.
I shall stay close. If enemies approach, they'll need deal with my blade.
Yeah, so Yuzu won't attack Shade, but she will kill any other motherfuckers, so hey, if you could get those witches, that'd be great. But anyway, yeah. The first two voice actors from Cypher Legends 1, I feel like, don't have quite the extensive a list, so let's get started. So we got Randall, who's voiced by Joe J. Thomas, who did not recognize a lot of his roles. Of the few I really recognized, there was Inspector. You know, the Inspector from JoJo, the guy Dio fucking murks, I think. All the cops die there, so yeah, he's probably also dead.
Oh.
So yeah, one of those guys, Yosef from Astral Chain, who's probably the villain, but I've never played Astral Chain enough to know that for a fact. Because I don't really want to play more Astral Chain, because it's the cop game, and also it's a bit finicky. And then Professor Oak in Pokemon Masters.
How could you... Wait, hold on. How could you forget to mention the I and Z block from Puyo Puyo Tetris?
Okay, to be fair, there are a few Puyo characters amongst the voice actors we're covering today, but I don't know Puyo super well. I've only played it a couple times with you, so yeah, not as familiar with them.
He's voicing the characters that represent the Tetris blocks, and I thought that was funny. He voices the I block.
Yeah, he can be your Angle or your Devil. And as for the other Fire Emblem characters he's done, in Heroes he's played Bantu and Tabarn, and both in Heroes and in this game he plays one more character, but it's a character we haven't covered in this game. This is so far the only double up we've seen. So as for Emma, she's voiced by Marie Harrington. Again, not one I really recognized a lot of characters for. Apparently she voiced a character named Jasmine in Steven Universe Future. Don't remember that character. She's Celestia from the Danganronpas, who I haven't played that game, but she's got a very distinct design, so there was another one I could add to the list. And the only one, like, of all of them, I think I know her the most possibly from Paprika from Them's Fighting Herds.
That one doesn't even talk, I don't think. That's the alpaca, right?
I think so.
She just makes noises.
So she does the noises.
Also, the reason you can't remember who Jasmine is because, do you remember Camp Pining Hearts, the show within a show that Peridot's obsessed with?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's from that.
She's one of those characters. So you had no reason to think about her for longer than 10 seconds.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, so now we're getting to the characters from this chapter who, again, I recognize more, and they have very extensive lists. Yuzu is voiced by Lauren Landa, who is the voice of Sailor Neptune. I think later Kyoko Sakura from Madoka, because I couldn't find a credit for her for, like, the actual original dubs, but she does, like, all of the latest ones at least, so I know that.
So all the ones we're never going to watch.
Yep, pretty much. She is Mariah from JoJo.
Oh.
She seems to be the backup Robin voice, so, like, for Smash Brothers and Fire Emblem Warriors, she's female Robin. Not in the original or in Heroes, I believe. And as for any other Fire Emblem characters she does voice Sheena in Fire Emblem Heroes, who, you know, I like her as a character. Didn't use her much because she's an armored character. She's a common armored character in Heroes, which means she's okay, but has limited movement and doesn't have absolutely ludicrous abilities like the less common armor units.
One more of her roles I want to call out. She's Lila in Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. That's the woman who runs the Coliseum.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, she's really fucking cool. Like, way cooler than female characters in Fist of the North Star are normally allowed to be.
Yeah, she was like the sister of like the lady who ruled the place, right?
I don't... Okay, it's been years. I think they were friends.
Okay, friends. Because I just remember that they, like, the side quest jokes where they basically just get drunk in the exact same way.
Yeah, you think they're setting up for a joke where, like, Kisana is nice, normal, and then mean, drunk. So you think, well, she's mean, normal, she's gonna be nice, drunk. Nope. Lila is just as mean and still yells, "Kick him in the dick, Kenshiro."
Have you ever seen
It's
such
glorious.
physical perfection?
Alright, and lastly we have Shade, who is Kate Higgins. You've probably heard of her. Sailor Mercury, Sakura from Naruto. She's the latest Tails voice.
Oh, so she's the one that we had to fight. Well, we Sonic fans had to fight to get her on the poster, right?
Oh yeah, that's about to come. Actually, no, I think it has come out like today.
Yeah, people
right?
have seen it.
Sonic 2.
Somebody
Yep.
tweeted Ryan Chongo's show about it.
Yeah, from what I've been seeing, it's apparently pretty good.
I think the first one was also good, just people wouldn't admit it because it's Sonic and people refuse to be normal about Sonic anymore.
But yeah, now that I've thoroughly dated the recording of this episode, she's also the female avatar in Xenoblade Chronicles X, so whenever I just think of the phrase Starfall Rondo, I guess that's her voice. And then Fire Emblem voices she's done in Heroes, Sarah and Lisa. The one that took me by surprise, because if I did know it, I didn't remember it, she's also Pauline from Mario Odyssey.
Oh, I knew that.
Which means she is actually the person who sings Jump Up Superstar.
Yeah, I remember talking because, like, I said, you know, Pauline and Tails share a voice actor. Why hasn't Tails gotten a song like this? I didn't realize this was Sakura. She has the biggest resume, so it's, you know, there are more roles that are like, oh wait, I do know this. But I do want to say, in Dead or Alive, she plays Tina Armstrong, but as I was scrolling through the list, I read that as Tara Strong. So I thought she just played Tara Strong in something, which, that's my favorite joke that never gets used, is actors playing other actors. Like, I want Elijah Wood and Daniel Radcliffe to show up in a movie, but they're playing each other.
All die in my hands.
Anyways, game mechanic.
Yeah, okay, so we are actually approaching the big thing of the chapter, which is taking Shade's HP down without killing her. So, in the first run, I actually managed to get her all the way down to exactly 1 HP. That is not necessary. Let's see, I believe this is the dialogue.
No, no, no! How dare you!
Okay, think it's either this or Yuzu will mention when you're able to actually help her. So yeah, basically your strategy here is high accuracy but low crit characters if possible. Try to lower your crit as much as possible. Okay, there we go. That should be the dialogue.
I think she's starting
Yep,
to come
okay,
to her
so
senses.
now we can actually save Shade. Again, you don't have to get her down to exactly 1 HP. God, I wish I was able to keep the recording where that happens. Because it was impressive.
I have another Kate Higgins role that I want to laugh at.
Alright.
I've got this.
She played Charlie's mom in the Tom and Jerry version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Shade,
Oh,
please.
jeez.
Remember that? Remember that was just all the fuck over Twitter because people were so mad about it?
You, every one of you will
Yeah, Tom and Jerry, much like Scooby-Doo, is just one of those works
So I
that,
fear I
like,
must shock her senses.
exists
It's the
for
only option
crossovers
left.
that you don't
Pray
care
forgive me,
about at
Shade,
all.
But I must insist
Yeah.
that you eat.
I was trying to remember, like, how many other weird crossover movies they did. Because I vaguely remember there was a Wizard of Oz one. Oh god, I'm looking, there are 2 Wizard of Oz ones. What the fuck?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Why did you make me eat that?
I thought a ration
Yeah,
bomb
in
would bring
terms
you
of,
to
like,
your
Tom and Jerry
senses.
movies, I only remember
Respect
the
ration
ones that were
bomb.
playing when I was a kid.
Wait.
Like,
Where?
Magic Ring and all
How
that.
did I
The,
get here?
you know,
We can
it's
speak on
post
it
Tom
later.
and Jerry the
For
movie,
now,
but
we
they're
must
still
get to
not
safety.
good.
I don't know what is
Yeah,
going on.
yeah. This isn't a Tom and Jerry Let's Play, but really once you get past the theatrical cartoons, even the best stuff is gonna be eh.
There were sometimes good jokes in those, but yeah, like, they could never cover a full movie with them ever, it seems. Anyway, here's the fucking hard part of the chapter. Once you've helped Shade, here comes the fuck you brigade. And also, the witches that Shade summons, yeah, no, they don't leave. So we still gotta kill them. Unfortunately, like, half the party is not close. Oddly enough, I think this part of the fight actually went better for me in the first take.
I can feel my skills improving.
Yeah, so at this point I am surrounded by mages. Oh no.
Allow me.
Here's also the part where not having my proper weapons did kind of screw me over, because Clive has fucking nothing for arts at the moment. He's not using his lance. Claire's not doing anywhere near as much damage as she should be.
Tobin seems to be doing fine.
Yeah, Tobin, you're good. Just keep doing that, please.
That's how it's done. That's a new one.
So between both of these chapters, both Cypher Legends really like making their difficulty just hordes of enemies. Because that's the difficult thing about Cypher Legends 1 was just, okay, you've made it to Randall. Here's this valley full of fuckers. And I've got a 28% chance to hit this guy, and I managed to land one attack, so you know what? Good job, all. You got a guy on a gravestone. You did it.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I will stab the skeleton.
I don't think he's gonna appreciate that comment, Faye. He's a skeleton, he doesn't understand the concept of moves being wrong.
Oh sure, just because I don't have flesh or muscles, you're gonna judge me like this.
You can't touch me!
So anyways, regarding Cypher, whenever a massive crossover thing introduces original characters, they can be incredibly divisive. I think of the first Hyrule Warriors game in its original release. People were very, very upset about how many OCs were in it, even though it was just 2, really? I don't count Wizrow and Volga as OCs. Those are reinterpretations of existing characters.
Yeah, fucking XPs or whatever.
Especially Wizrow. Volga just being Lubu, I understand. I understand why you might say that doesn't count. Wizrow is just a Wizrow. Fuck off.
Yeah. He's a Wizrow, but he's a bit wacky.
But, do you have a gauge for how popular the Cypher OCs are?
Not really, no. Nobody talks about the DLCs at all, really. I feel like not a lot of people really bought them in this game. Just in general, because I don't see a lot of people talk about, the Rise of Deliverance DLC outside of, specific discussion about it, but I don't think a lot of people really glommed onto the DLC of a remake. Plenty of people like the game itself. Echoes is beloved, but, nobody ever really mentions the DLC.
I was also just curious of, like, in general, not just the Cypher OCs that made it into this DLC, but, like, do people like the Cypher OCs or not? Because I like the 4 we have in this DLC.
Yeah, they've got a pretty good amount of character. It's hard to really gauge because, like, most of the content would be, like, well, it would be Japanese only, because it's a lot of, like, in-character, hey, we're talking about the discussion of new releases and all that. They've got their own, like, little chibi portraits for, you know, new
they're
stuff.
those types. Okay. Yeah, if that's the only content that exists of them, there's no way Americans are going to have, or English speakers are going to have an opinion on them.
Yeah, because, you know, obviously they have their own cards, but again, we didn't get that, so we can look at their artwork, but otherwise we don't have any material for them outside of this. Like, I really do not know anything about the other characters from Cypher, because they don't have a DLC.
But I think having them, like, be grounded in the various lands of Fire Emblem actually helps them. Because, like typically, it's like a Super Robot Wars main character who just exists outside of all the universes and is just there to facilitate crossover stuff. But they're like, no, we're gonna make new characters that would exist in these lands.
Yeah, like both Heroes and Warriors do just have the their own OC land specific for the OCs. But
Sure, why not?
yeah, I do. Yeah, that's definitely better, I think. It's this card game. Like, you really can't introduce that much supplemental material, and I think for what little they have, it's good that they can be a part of these places. And, like, it also just works for this game in particular. Like, they can be here in Fire Emblem Heroes, because ever since the Dragon's Gate just became a DLC thing, or like an online thing, like, you can just have people cross over from other worlds. You can just casually use the Dragon's Gate and wind up in a different Fire Emblem game. It's actually super easy. Don't know why there was a whole villainous scheme about it. Seems a little silly now.
Okay, I'm ready.
Come on, Faye! All managed to land a hit with a 28% chance. You had 56. The odds were in your favor.
Nice to get stronger.
That being said, still waiting for Fjorm to appear in any other Fire Emblem game. I like a lot of the OCs in Fire Emblem Heroes. I could see them appearing in DLC and other games. Would have been kind of nice if Three Houses did a bit more of that. Been over this before. Cindered Shadows was good. The rest of it, I mean, it's not content I would leave off the table, but I don't know if I would really say it was worth, like, buying DLC for that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't... I unthinkingly spoiled a part of the DLC, and I didn't realize you were going to censor that. I was watching that episode today, and I thought I said something, like, super fucked up because I wasn't paying the most attention.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I just got a huge bleep, like, oh god, what did I say? Why did she have to censor that? Like, oh, I just said the name of a character I probably shouldn't have. Anyways, I'm glad that Three Houses tries to stand on its own.
Thank you for coming to our aid, good sir.
Because I think that
Hello there.
one of the things I really dislike about Fates is how it can't get away from
that
Awakening.
whole demonic possession thing.
So I think that Three Houses being very adamant of, like, no, our thing is our thing, and we're not letting anyone else in.
But I remember being attacked out of nowhere.
I can see why it would be
Some sort of arcane
limiting,
art
but I think it may have been
that
necessary at the
after
time.
that, I wonder if I was to be their quarry.
Who is they?
It's just a rumor,
but there's apparently an arcanist collecting blood sacrifices. This foul being hunts only beautiful maidens, or so the story goes. These maidens are then offered up to terrors in exchange for long life.
Dang, fucked up.
Then we made war upon the Arcanist's underlings. If they were hunting maidens, it explains why they readily engaged me.
Wait, does that mean we're beautiful? Should we be flattered?
Dang, we're so hot people want to make us into blood sacrifices. It's great.
But did they not make you an underling instead of taking you back?
Damn owned.
Did you say something?
Destroyed.
Not worth repeating, it seems. What matters is that Shade is safe. Sir Alm, I thank you. If I may be so bold as to ask a favor, might you permit Shade and myself to join your ranks? We would like to repay you in what little way we can.
Yes, but it's not all altruistic niceties. We'd gain from the arrangement as well. We've been traveling from land to land, but yours is still foreign to us.
Yeah, I don't even know where this chapter takes place, so I'm a bit lost here too.
As fighters, you will not find us wanting, if I may be so bold. So then, what say you?
I would have liked it if one of them was like, "Oh, this is Valentia. I know this place. I've been here before." What? It seems weird though. Or like, I don't know if there were characters from Valentia, but like, have a character from Valentia from the card game show up here. Like, I'm just back in Valentia.
I know this place. Get me out of here. I hated it.
Just when I think I'm finally out, they pull me back in.
Yeah, well, I'm also being pulled back into this, because it's time for character profiles, starting with the character who wasn't possessed in this episode. It's Yuzu. So, Yuzu is supposed to be some variation of Myrmidon. She is technically a samurai, but that was Fates' version of the Myrmidon, so basically what you need to know is she wields a sword. That's normally her thing. And, okay, maybe it's personal bias speaking here, but I feel like she's the best Cypher character because she excels at being a very, very good Myrmidon. Her best stats, of course, are her attack skill and speed, and this is another case where, like, if this were a different Fire Emblem game, those stat growth rates wouldn't be too far off of making her a really good character. But instead, this is Echoes, where having 3 good growth rates that are that good is really nice. But of course, she is a glass cannon because of it. Her HP is really not particularly good, and the rest of her stats aren't good either. Meh luck, lackluster defense, and, well, 3% is better than most characters, but it's still not great. But yeah, that being said, she hits very hard, she hits fast, she will crits. That skill will make up for her luck. Now, because she can't be a Myrmidon, because the Myrmidon class line is gender-locked in this game, she has to be the only female class that can wield a sword, that being the Priestess, which does make her kind of a Celica light. She's very strong, and she does have a spell list. It's just her spell list isn't very good in comparison to Celica. But, like, having it at all is a nice extra little bit for her. You would not expect her to have a spell list, and she wouldn't if not for the mechanics of the game. So it's a good little bonus, just don't expect her to be the most magey mage, and considering her HP, it might be better you don't use that much magic anyway. Regardless though, she's a very strong character, but what about that DLC item though? How's that do? Well, the Warrior's Sword is maybe the best weapon of the DLCs. Now I will say, its specific skill is not as interesting in comparison to Randall or Emma's. It's called Armor Disruptor, and it does what it says it does. It is effective against armored units, but it does have some pretty good stats to go along with it, so if you go up against an armored unit, Yuzu is in no way at a disadvantage. As for the rest of the Warrior's Sword, 6 might, 20 crits. Yeah, so if she wasn't critting enough already, Yuzu will crit more with this sword. Yuzu is incredible. She works so very well as a glass cannon, she'll destroy just about any single target you come across, especially the armored ones once you get Armor Disruptor. Really, her only problem is big groups. If you send her into a large group, make sure she's just the vanguard, and not the only character charging into the group. She's dodgy, but you probably don't want to roll the die that much. If you do, she could very well be killed. But who knows, maybe her luck is better than Randall's. And now for the character that my lizard brain looks at and is like, oh, she's not anywhere near as good. It's Shade. Don't worry though, that's just my lizard brain speaking. So her growth rates aren't like super high. They're all fairly even, so she doesn't excel at anything, but with a little bit of luck, you should have a fairly well-rounded Shade. And I mean, as always, I should point out, 6% resistance is really good. It's also important to note that Shade starts as a Saint, which means she also has some pretty good starting skills. Soothing Light and Absolve are both just pretty solid to have at this point in the game. Well, Soothing Light is. Soothing Light heals adjacent allies at the start of a turn. So, hey, if you want to dedicate your turn to things that aren't healing, yeah, Soothing Light. Absolve, maybe a little lackluster so far. Basically, you just won't take any damage from terrain, so it's gonna be a hot minute before that's relevant, but when it is relevant, it's gonna be useful. So yeah, that's certainly an advantage to starting at such a high class. But here's the real fun part. So, Shade has a pretty interesting spell list. I would say it's probably one of the more niche ones, and if I had to compare it to anyone's, I might say Fae, but I didn't make Fae a cleric, so nobody quite has a spell list like hers. She starts with Physic and Silence, meaning she is a ranged healer who can tell other mages to shut the fuck up. She can also quickly get access to these spells Freeze, Seraphim, and Rescue. To describe her spell list, Shade is basically just a very ranged healer. I mean, sure, she's got Nosferatu so she can steal HP back, but other than that, she has the ability to heal from a distance or eventually bring in a character who's in danger and then heal them at the start of the next turn with Soothing Lights. She can also shut down enemy mages, or just shut down movement, because that's what Freeze does. Freeze just tells you, hey, your legs, they don't work anymore. And in case you really need Shade to do some actual damage, she's got Seraphim. But overall, yeah, no, you want Shade for a very good ranged support. But the sad thing is, she doesn't have a special item at the start. Look, I know she's on the cleric line, but you could have given her some kind of ring. It's a bit sad, really. Everybody else has really good weapons. I wish they gave Shade some kind of unique item to have. I guess to be fair though, if she had a ring that healed her right from the start, that's just health for her and her allies at the start of every round. Maybe they thought that would have been a bit broken, but you've got Glass Cannon Yuzu right there. I don't think being broken was that much of a concern for the devs for this DLC. And again, if you're paying money for this, let the characters be broken. I want cool, interesting things. Give me shinies, Intelligent. Come on. Where are the shinies?